Okay, hello. Today we are going to be talking about the, we're going to be talking about these individual letters that carry meanings in and of themselves. What this is going to accomplish is getting you a little bit more familiar with these letters themselves and understanding that not only how to recognize these characters, but also that each one of these is going to have its own meaning. And I'll explain that here in just a little bit. The other thing it'll help you with is getting familiar with, well, this vowel, the stopping vowel, really well, which we went over in the last video, and then our ah sound here, as well as some of the other root words that I'm going to pull in to work with these. Again, I'll explain that in a second. The last thing it's going to do is it's going to give you kind of an introduction to what roots are and what these letters as prefixes and how prefixes kind of work in the Hebrew. Suffixes is something that we're going to come back into later. But what I want you to know is that in the Hebrew, what you encounter is a fairly basic structure. Most roots have 3 letters, okay? And then you can add a prefix onto it that we'll go over in a minute what those can do to it. And then you can add a suffix onto it, which suffix will give it number, it will give it gender, which I hope you might have had some introduction to other languages, because we don't have gender in English. However, almost every other language I've encountered does. So keep that in mind as we go on, that there is a gender in Hebrew, and it's determined by the suffix. And then, let's see, number, gender, and possession is something else that it can. I'm sure there's a couple more things. In fact, I know that there are, but these are going to be the most common, and I'll just call your attention to them right off the bat. So what I'm going to do is, with each of these prefixes, they carry their own meaning. So I'll go ahead and define each one of these so that you can see how this is going to work. The bet, again, looks an awful lot like the kaf down here. The way we tell the difference is the line. Okay, it's going to have its little tail on it. Kaf does not have that. What we're going to do is also know that this is the b. This is the hard sound because it has the dot in the middle. Otherwise, it would be v. And the reason it's not ba, be, b is because of our little stopped sound here. It says b and just makes the sound and stops really quickly, okay? When that appears at the beginning of a word, it can be the word in or with. Okay, how this works is what I'm going to do is for our 3-letter root here, I'm going to use the word bait. Okay, and we're going to learn a couple things really quickly right off the bat here. And I'll come back to what bait means in a minute, because I'm going to do this in kind of a roundabout fashion. Remember in the first video I talked a little bit about Paleo? Well, the Paleo Hebrew is the original, earliest pictorial form of the language, where it actually looked a little bit more like Egyptian hieroglyphs, and they're actually writing these pictures and doing a full representative pictorial language, okay? So, bit, what it looked like was kind of like this. Okay? It had the kind of almost that Greek thing that you see all the time, but they're not related. But what it was a tent floor plan. Okay? You can see you have a little door in here, and then you'd come around, and then this is going to be your main area where you're spending that. Now, for the Israelites, for the Hebrews, especially for at least 40 years, we know that their main dwelling, that their home, was a tent. And so the letter bet was a house, and was the symbolic meaning is that it can have a connotation of family, of closeness, even of creation and birthing forth. Then, if you were to spell the letter bet, it would be like this. It would be kind of like bait. Okay? So I would put the 2 dots right in there, and I would like to do this in pencil, because one thing you'll learn about the roots, that we'll go over this more in another video, is that the vowels are going to change based on the grammar of the sentence, okay? So I'm just going to pencil that in so that it's not as permanent as my marker here. Bait is going to be the root of this word, and because the spelling of the word is the spelling of the letter also is the word that means the paleo. Isn't that cool? Okay, so you have the letter B, bet, which if you spell it out is the word beit, which means house. Okay, I'll just go ahead and write that in here. It means house. And then the Paleo Hebrew, this character is a tent floor plan as a house. So you see the association with all of those. Sorry, I've got a needy kitty coming up to me. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be working with the root house for all of these. I'm going to define each one of these, then I'll give you an example, and then we'll move on, okay? So, hey. And the thing is, hey will usually carry a vowel. I've seen it just with a stop sound, but because it is just almost a vowel in and of itself, that it just really doesn't take any consonant sound, it just is a breath, that they usually give it a little bit more of a sound than just saying huh. And so hey at the beginning of a word means the, okay, the definite article. So then vav will mean and. Kaf chaf, and I have the k here with the dot, means like or as. Oh, sorry, I got a cat jumping up in my lap. Lamed, down here at the bottom, and we'll move this up a little bit. Ah, I've got a cat climbing me. Hold on. Kitty, get down, get down. Ow. Okay, lamed is 2 or 4. And finally, the mem is from. So just to give you a little examples, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write bait, and it's going to change just a little bit in the vowel, and I'm going to do the ah sound, ba. Okay, we saw how you read that. You do one syllable, ba. I'm sorry, let me move this down a little bit. Ba. And then I'll do one dot, ye. which will be stopped by the T since there's no vowel underneath here with the T. So, bayit. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding these here just for the sake of example. So if I say B, I'm just going to do kind of a shadow letter here just to give you, I also don't want to make this too hard to erase, but I want to make it clear on the video, so I'll make it thick. Okay, so if I do B, again with our stop sound, B-bayit, it would be in the house. Okay, I would guess it would be in the house, with the house. You can use it, but it's not going to be very common. Okay, B-bayit would be in the house. And I want to point out really quickly before, as I'm writing this next one, if you'll remember what we were talking about with the yud here. Oh boy, that's a little bit of a longer explanation. I just want to point out right here you have the ay, so bay is what's happening there. Bayit. And the yud will actually take two sounds, okay? I was about to say you won't encounter this right off the bat, but yes you will, and I get a lot of people who get very confused by this, so I'm going to go ahead and clarify this really quickly. Sometimes what will happen is we've talked about how there's a dot inside of the bet, vet, inside of the kaf, chaf, and a couple of the other letters that if you want to see what those are, go to video 1. However, sometimes you will see something like this. Oh, and this is actually a really good letter to do this with. Okay? And there's a dot inside the yud. And you go, what in the world is happening there? All that is happening is it's telling you that the vowel is used twice. Okay? So, if I were to just do this and do the ah with the y sound, then it would be by. If I were just to do this and have that covered up with the just the yud and the I sound, it would be y. So it could be bite. See how that works? If that were gone, it would be bite. And if well, technically, if the dot in the middle were gone, then it would be by it. But what it's telling you is that this is going to both modify this vowel and carry its own vowel sound and say bayit. Okay? In pronunciation, sometimes you'll encounter this I sounding a little bit more like a long E. Just know that it's a pronunciation thing. If it helps you to learn, and I'd suggest that you keep this in mind, is that it's bayit. Okay? Do that I sound in there. You'll hear me do the E a little bit, but don't get confused. Okay, the only other thing I'm going to point out before I get back into what I was talking about is this. Sometimes encountering the dot inside of a tav. I don't know why that is. I couldn't tell you. I have a really good explanation for the other one. Tav, just know that when you see it, doesn't do a thing. Not one thing. Okay, going back to our examples. I'm going to do our hey. Oop. Okay, the habayit would be the house. I'll come back to the and okay. We'll come back to a couple of those to see if we can't find a better example than bait. Okay, so lamed, to the house. Okay, to the house. For the house, I guess, if you wanted to put it that way. Last one is our mem. Mabayit, from the house. Okay, sorry, it's a little difficult to see. Mabayit, mem, mabayit, from the house. Okay, now, let's do this word. Okay. The word you, and this is the masculine you. Ata. Okay, ata. So, let's see, let's do a little bit of Hebrew liturgy here. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Okay? It is you who is our God. It is you who is our Lord. It is you who is our King. Anyway, we won't worry about that right now. It is you. The Atahu is what's being said there. So, Ata, you. So for our example, we'll do, if I were to say to a man, Ma shalomcha, how are you? He might say, Beseder, I'm good. Everything is in order. And then he would respond, to a boy. If he were responding to a man, he would say V'ata, and you. Okay, see how that works? At would be feminine. So if I said to him, Ma shalomcha, how are you? And he said, Beseder, everything's in order, I'm good. And then he responded, V'at, I would say, Tov, I'm good. Okay? So, then, the only last one I'm going to go over here is our kaf. Actually, you'd probably encounter this one most, at least I know I do, in the blessing of the children on Shabbat. Because you say, may he make you, to our daughters, we say, may he make you ka-rivka v'chaleya. Ka-rivka, Rivka being Rebecca, ka, like or as, ka-rivka, like Rebecca, v'chaleya, v, and ka, like Leah. Okay? Ka-rivka v'chaleya. May he make you like Rebecca and like Leah. Ka'ata, like you, as you, such and such. As probably is not the best one to use there. Okay, so that's all I'm going to go over for now. Next video, we're probably going to get into a little bit more of some root words, and then maybe have a bit more of a suggestion for what some of these suffixes are. If we can't get into that in the next one, it will definitely be covered in the following video from that one. So, got a couple ideas projected forward. Keep checking back so that you can get more lessons. Have a good one.